Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the Divine Reality course. We are on the final section of this course, Why Allah Deserves Worship. And now we are going to be looking at that, or addressing that very question, why worship God? Now, I'm going to highlight 7 specific points here. You may choose to use some of them, others, and by no means is this an extensive list. These are just 7 points which we consider to be very powerful in the dawah, and things we can reflect on for ourselves as well, inshallah. So number 1, God's right to worship is a necessary fact of His existence. Allah deserves to be worshipped because of who He is, right? He is the most perfect being. And because of who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, worship is due to Him. It's as simple as that. As Allah says in the Quran, chapter 20, verse 14, "Indeed, I am God. There is no deity except me. So worship me and establish prayer for my remembrance." So I want you to think about something for a second, brothers and sisters. And there is no comparison to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way, shape or form. But if you just think about human beings, right? Think about people that you're extremely impressed with. Say if you like watching football, and you have you like a specific player, and you're mesmerized by this player. You praise this player when they, for example, are in a match and it's a final and they show some amazing skills and they score the most amazing goal. You jump up and you applaud and you are, you're shouting and screaming and you're just so inspired. You're mesmerized by this person. Why? Why do we get to these states? It's because this person has a specific quality that they've honed in on, and they are peaking in that quality from a human perspective, and they're displaying these amazing skills which it takes a lot of effort to attain. Yet they are not perfect, but we praise them. We look up to them, and this happens all the time. But what about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the being who is perfect? No human, no matter how skilled any human is, can compare to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way, shape or form. There is no likeness to Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the being who has, is perfect in every way, shape or form. His names and attributes are maximally perfect. But so just by the fact of who Allah is, He is worthy of worship. He should be worshipped, and we should worship Allah alone. So that's the first point to really consider, that God's right to worship is a necessary fact of His existence. Secondly, God has created and also sustains everything. Now think about this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala God is the being, the creator, who is eternal, who has no beginning, who has no end. He is the necessary being, independent. Whereas everything in existence, reflecting back to the argument from contingency, everything in existence is in total need of Him, is completely and utterly dependent upon Him at every single moment of its existence. Everything is reliant upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is the being that has created everything, brought everything into existence, and is sustaining everything, maintaining everything. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the 35th chapter of the Quran, verse 3, "O mankind, remember the favor of God upon you. Is there any creator other than God who provides for you from the heavens and the earth? There is no deity except Him. So how are you deluded?" And the fact of the matter is, especially in the world that we live in today, people, including us sometimes, we become extremely deluded in regards to this fact. We lose sight of this reality that behind all of this, behind everything we have, behind everything we love, everyone we love, behind everything we cherish, behind everything we enjoy, behind everything we experience, the fact that we can have conscious experience of reality, behind every moment of this conscious experience is Allah, His creative power. He is there. He creates everything. He maintains everything. He sustains everything. He gives us everything that we have. So if we just think about this and reflect upon this, and therefore we realize that nothing has any intrinsic power or worth or value. It's all there due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we recognize this just for a moment, then we should also realize that, we should be praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It creates a sense of gratitude within us. And this is intuitive to the human. Whenever we feel grateful, that gratitude has to be given, otherwise it weighs down on us. and to recognize that Allah deserves praise and gratitude. And then when we give this to Him, this is worship. That we are singling Him out now. We're recognizing He is the only one that should be worshipped, thanked, praised, beseeched, loved. Because without, if it wasn't for Allah to create all of these things and give us all of these things, we wouldn't have any of these things. So it's only Allah that we should thank and turn to. So God has created and also sustains everything, and therefore He is the only one that we should worship. The third point, God provides us with innumerable favors. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and if you should try to count the favors of God, you could not enumerate them. Indeed, mankind is generally most unjust and ungrateful. We can never enumerate the favors of Allah. There are so many blessings that we are experiencing right now that are coming from Allah that we aren't even aware of. We're not even aware of. There are things happening on a cellular level, for example, inside our bodies right now, this very moment, that we have no control over, yet they are there and they are required for our existence, and we aren't even aware of them. We probably won't ever be aware of them throughout our lives. This is Allah. His favors are innumerable. We cannot enumerate His favors. We cannot count His favors. Just think about the mechanisms within the cell right now, the machinery within the cell, which is replacing DNA, which is replacing proteins right now. This is an ongoing process. And we throughout our daily lives, we are completely unaware of this process. We're just going about our days enjoying ourselves. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control of all of these processes. These are His favors. We didn't earn them. We didn't own them. We don't own these things. We didn't deserve these things. These are from Allah. So we should spend time reflecting upon these things. Remind ourselves that these are favors. There's so many things going on, just blessings we're experiencing right now that we're not even aware of. And this is coming from Allah. So we should thank Him for the things we're aware of, the blessings we are aware of, and thank Him for the blessings we're not aware of because of our own ignorance and our limitations. And therefore we should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. This should create this urge within us to thank Him and to love Him and to worship Him. Think about the heartbeat, brothers and sisters. The heart starts to beat very early on within the fetus. And that's one of those things we could literally not count the number of heartbeats. If someone made it a life goal to sit down and count the number of their heartbeats and put their finger on their pulse, or a stethoscope in the ear and just would listen constantly to their heartbeat, and that's all they did their entire lifetime, they still would not be able to count every single heartbeat. Because the heart starts to beat before we become conscious of the world around us and of ourselves. That happens maybe I think after the age of 1, when we start to become aware of ourselves. These are things that develop over time. The heart's beating from very early on in our conception. So we've missed out that time that we can't count back for. Well, then what about the times that we sleep at night? When we're resting, we become unaware. We can never, this is just one blessing, the heartbeat, which again is required for our existence, and we cannot count it. Literally, we cannot enumerate, we cannot count the heartbeat. Yet the heart continues to beat throughout our entire lives. Every single day, every single minute. So who's allowing that heart to beat? It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, shouldn't we worship Him alone? So brothers and sisters, these are the first 3 reasons why we should worship God, why we should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, make notes of them. Maybe you have your own ideas, your own thoughts. Make notes of them as well for your da'wah, inshallah. And when you're ready, move on to the next section.